Microphone check, 1 2. Hello, hello. Welcome to Unscripted. My name is Matt. You might know me as Cut Corners. And this is a very special guest today. We have Joyce Wrice. I know there's a lot of people already in the chat that are very familiar with her. And a lot of DJs have been playing her songs, as have I. A big one, of course, her latest song, On One, featuring Freddie Gibbs, as you may know. So we're thrilled to have Joyce today joining us. This is Unscripted, and we do this for like an hour or so, and we'll be having Joyce talk about her album, and we asking her questions. You'll be able to ask questions in the chat at the end as well. And without further ado, let's get Joyce out of the green room and onto the main screen. Here she comes. What's up, Joyce?
Hi.
Welcome to Unscripted. Thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you, Matt, for having me.
So, first of all, we're all very big fans of your music here at Serato, and we're very excited to be talking to you today. First thing I wanted to know is just how you doing? How you've survived like 1 year of pandemic? You know, what are some of the ways that you found to get through this?
In the beginning, I think like everyone else, I was really shocked. And it was a hard time. But I did my best to create as much value from the situation and dig deeper and be more creative than ever. So with that, I actually had one of the best years of my life during 2020. So it's kind of weird, but I'm thankful for that.
And you were working on Overgrown, your new record, through the pandemic, or where did that fit into the whole, timeline of pandemic 2020?
So Overgrown, I started working on that a few years before 2020, but I had wanted to put Overgrown out in 2020. But when the pandemic happened, I was like, we're going to put this on pause because I really want to tour the album, and I would hate to put the album out and not be able to tour right away. And that's when we did the That's On You release, which I felt was sonically perfect for the kind of year it was in 2020. I felt like the song was very comforting and relaxing. So we decided to put that out, and then we were able to make a quarantine style video. And then we came up with the idea to do a Japanese remix and have Umi involved. So those were some really fun ways of making the most out of the year. And then, of course, finishing the album and getting everything ready to put it out in 2021.
It was really cool. I saw on your Instagram that you actually did some like a treasure hunt giveaway, and you dropped physical CD copies around. Was it LA?
So I'm from San Diego,
okay,
Chula Vista to be exact. And my manager came up with the idea to put CDs at my high school and at a popular Mexican restaurant. And so that gave fans and people from my hometown an opportunity to get a copy of the CD because we only sold very little, or we only released very little. And then we did that, I believe Thursday, or we did it on a Wednesday. And that was 2 days before the album came out. So we also gave people an opportunity to hear the album before anybody else. And then we did one in Japan. My manager's mom is in Japan right now. So we sent copies of CDs to her, and she was able to put them around Japan and give people out there an opportunity to have a copy of the album.
That's fantastic. What a cool concept! Like a treasure hunt. Like, man, whoever got those, they must be really, really thrilled that they got that exclusive early release.
Yeah.
And you also made vinyl record, which I heard sold out extremely fast for Overgrown as well.
Yes, I'm like super happy that we were able to sell them out. We did a restock and we sold out on that very quickly as well. And yeah, I'm just a big fan of records. So to be able to finally have like my album on vinyl is really sick. And I can't wait for people to get it and see them really share, how it sounds. It sounds really good. I just approved them like a week ago. We got to do fun colors with the album as well, so I'm excited.
That's fantastic. So, and this is your first record, right? Overgrown is your first full length record.
Yes, it's my first full length, first LP, not my last.
Definitely not.
And yeah, I haven't released, I guess, a full body of work. I mean, I put Stay Around, my first EP, which was 6 songs in 2016, and then I did a maxi single. I did Rocket Science, which was like a 2-song.
You mean Rocket Science?
Oh, you have it!
Flex. I had to do that one.
Those are so rare, I feel like.
Yeah, I gotta give a big shout out to my friend Kota at Stone's Throw. He made sure I got a copy of this. This one's on Akashic Records, which is that Mind Design's record? Yeah.
Akashic Records, yes. My Design, Alima Jennings, and Shane Sakanoy.
Yeah, that's such a great single. I think that was the first, definitely the first single I had of yours. So with this being your first album, and versus putting out singles, like what was that process like? I know, putting out a song here and there is one thing, but creating a full album is a totally different, different approach. How did you find that?
Well, prior to putting this album out, I was kind of having a hard time just being inspired. And I was also just holding back, afraid to be vulnerable, and creating is such a vulnerable thing. But I had to really live life. And so I just kind of did some self-reflecting on what I could do better. And I have a great community out here of artists, and just collaborated more, asked people for advice. And through that, and having a great manager and A&R, I just was able to link up with D-Mile, who's an amazing producer. And I got to meet great writers and build great friendships and great relationships, to where I was finally getting an idea of what I wanted to talk about. And then it transitioned into me using these sessions to kind of be like my other, like my therapy sessions, basically. There's things I was going through that I wanted clarity on, or that I wanted to use art to help me heal, and at least tell my story so that anyone else who's going through it can relate to it and have music that they can escape to, or at least enter another world into.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things I like to think about with especially albums and artists is that it's a real honest expression and sharing of a very personal experience, right? And I think of some of the most impactful records of mine that I think of, like Amy Winehouse, Back to Black, where someone is so vulnerable with that expression. It's almost shocking, but is that what you're talking about with working through personal issues with through expressing that in song and songwriting?
Yeah, because I really like to pull from experience, so I'm pretty much putting my business out there. And I guess it's sometimes uncomfortable. People might know who you could be talking about. The person you're talking about could know you're talking about them. And in general, I'm a very private person. So I just really had to find what works for me and what makes me comfortable. But I also had to just get some courage to open up, because I feel like as artists, it's great to talk about the times and leave something behind that people can go back to, be a voice for others. So I had to look past my insecurities and it being all about me, and really remind me of my purpose, which is to create for others as well.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for being able to share that. Like, I think that's such a gift that you're able to give people when you are able to give your, a piece of yourself essentially on record like that to the world, for them to be able to, learn from your experience or help work them through that. I think even on the last interview I had, I was talking about how like music really helps get us through some really tough times or some challenging emotions. So yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and shout out D Miles. Yeah, D Mile. He's a producer. Yeah. You had so many great producers, but he was one that I didn't know about. And when researching to talk to you about this, I looked into his catalog, and wow, he's extremely accomplished too.
Yes. When my A&R hit me up and was like, I want to put you in the room with this producer D Mile, I didn't know who he was, but I did my research and I found out that he had produced songs that I've been obsessed with, by Janet Jackson and Mary J. Blige, and he worked with Rodney Jerkins, who was Brandy's like right hand producer. So when I saw that, I was super excited, but also a little intimidated. But when I got in the room with him, he's super humble and just creates a really safe environment to make the best music possible. So it was very smooth, and we were able to really find our rhythm when it came down to what kind of music I wanted to create for this album.
Yeah, it's incredible chemistry. I gotta say, you guys really, yeah, it's a home run for sure.
Thank you.
So was there a mood board for this record? Was you talked a little bit about Janet Jackson and Mary J. Blige as being, other artists that he's worked with that you love. What other mood board kind of influences were on this record? Because it's a timeless sounding record, if I may say so myself.
Good. Mood board, I would say Mariah Carey. Her Butterfly album was definitely an album that I wanted to get inspiration from. And Mary J. Blige, Brandy, and I would say with the R&B hip hop collaborations that I have on the album, Missy Elliott, Aaliyah, and Jael, Ashanti. I was definitely having those artists in the back of my mind, but most of the time was referring to Mariah Carey, Butterfly.
That's a big record, that one.
I know.
And okay, so I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. I have recently on Twitter I saw that Mariah Carey has seen you cover her song. Shall I pull it up? Shall I pull out the YouTube video?
Sure.
Hold on one second. See if I can do this. All right. I'm gonna pull up this YouTube video here of. Oh. Oh, my bad. We'll get the ads out of the way here. 1 second. This is important.
All good.
Yes. She looks like a superstar. She looks like a star, darling. There's a lot of parts that are interwoven. Like I tend to do a lot of background parts. So I like the way that you answered yourself with the background vocal parts, and because those parts are important. I mean, I spend time on them, darling. So to see you doing that makes me very happy.
So yeah, how did that feel for you?
Oh my gosh, that was so crazy. I remember my manager called me and was like, so I have to put you on the phone with somebody. I can't tell you who it is, what it's for, but just trust me on this. You're going to love it. And, just follow the directions. So I answered the call from this woman, and it was is it Cosmopolitan, I think? Oh, no, Allure.
Okay.
Whatever, Glamour magazine. And yeah, she was just like, hi, Joyce, and then talking to me about Mariah Carey. and then told me to watch this video. And then it was me watching Mariah and then them recording my reaction. And I was so shocked that I couldn't believe it because I'm such a huge fan. And I did that video so long ago. So for them to find it and choose it and use it was huge. So yeah, it's a memory that I am going to treasure forever.
No doubt. It's so cool how she was so complimentary. Like you got the backgrounds. She's like, you're a star.
Right.
She called it. You
right.
know?
Yeah, she's so sweet because she's intimidating. She's, not easy to impress or please. So I like her comment because it is true. Her background, her ad-libs, everything that she does, it's very complicated. It's not easy. So I've always been a fan of that about her. So I just naturally did it. I wasn't even trying to do that, but naturally that's just how I wanted to cover the song. So for her to notice that was really cool.
Yeah, that's incredible. And yeah, so she's a huge influence for you as well. And you said Mary J as well. I definitely hear little Mary J elements, being the queen of hip hop. You really take that a similar approach where it's a lot of hip hop influence, but a real huge, obviously R&B influence as well. So yeah, where's Mary J sit in your top 5 influences?
Well, I feel like she chose a lot of, or Diddy, whoever, she was working with, but her, most importantly, she just chose like hip hop records that were just so hard and gritty. And even though her voice and her singing is gritty too, it's still sweet. And so I don't know what it is about me, but I gravitate towards that as well, especially in my beat selection, I feel like. So I think subconsciously I'm inspired by her in that sense with the beat selection too. And yeah, I've been listening to her a lot lately. I was just in the studio and there's this beat that I worked on with Kaytranada, and it reminded me of Mary J. Blige too. So I'm also lately really paying attention to her approach as well, because she just comes so hard, and I like that. It's very commanding, and I want to do more of that.
Absolutely. You also, I think what you just touched on earlier with her honesty. She's also a very, very vulnerable and honest artist, which, I think, yeah, she's probably one of the most honest artists out there, really. And also one of the things you just talked about, which is I wanted to ask you about, is, yeah, your choice of beats, but also, your choice of guests. I've known you from working on with West Side Gun, and you've got Freddie Gibbs on One. You're choosing some of the hardest rappers out, really. So how did you get linked up with like West Side Gun and Gibbs?
So West Side Gun and I got connected through the Free Nationals. I had done a hook for the Free Nationals, and it was for a song that wasn't out yet, or that wasn't even completed. And maybe 2-3 years later, Callum from the Free Nationals was like, hey, we're going to put this song on our album. Remember when you did the hook on it? What do you think? So he sent it to me, and West Side Gun was on it. So at first, I didn't know who it was. I didn't know about Griselda. I thought it was Action Bronson or Ghostface Killah. I wasn't sure what was going on, but it sounded incredible to me. I haven't heard anything like that. So I was like, please, yes, I want to be on it. Keep me on it. Thank you for having me on it. And then I found out it was West Side Gun. And I can't remember. I think we started following each other on social media, and then he DM'd me about working on his album when he's in LA. So we exchanged phone numbers, and he followed through. He called me, and he was like, I'm performing at this Nike event. You should come. I want to meet you. We met, and then a few days later, he was at Alchemist's studio working on Pray for Paris.
Wow.
And he had me come in, and he was just like, I want you to sing over this hook. And then after or like at the end of the song, I want you to just freestyle. So I did that, and I asked him for some direction, and he was like, just do you, I trust you. And he's just so sweet, so kind, such a gentleman, very easy to work with. So when he decided to keep it, and when he put it out on his album, that's another one for the books for me.
For sure. And so the song, you're also on the Free Nationals record. Let's just go check that out right now. This is the one right here, the Rivington.
Yes.
So yeah, Free Nationals record, incredible.
In the trash, we was heavy whipping. Used to bag it up in Vanessa kitchen. Fifth close, cross the mall, let the Desi lift him. Told him no trapping around here, but he ain't never listen. Had my youngest kick his door, now it's Freddie missing. They found his body, but his head is missing. Spent his bread with my jeweler, he made the Desi glisten.
So yeah, that's another fantastic record as well. I totally forgot about that incredible record, but yeah, wow. So that was the first introduction, and then you've got Freddie Gibbs. So how'd you link up with Freddie Gibbs?
So for On One, Freddie and I have already been following each other on Instagram, and I met him briefly at his listening party with Madlib, and yeah, I had he was kicked off of Instagram, so I had to DM him on Twitter, and I was like, I have this song that I would really love for you to be on. And I remember in the past on Instagram, he told me, anything you ever need from me, just let me know. And I initially wanted Freddie to be in the So So Sick video, but he was not in LA. So I had hit him up about being on One, and he was super swift in communication, told me to come by his studio the next day. And yeah, I played it for him. He loved it. And he just started coming up with his verse in his head. Wow. Barely wrote anything in his phone, and then just went in the booth, laid it down a few times, stacked it, put some background, and he was done in like 2 hours.
Wow. That's a pro right there.
He is a pro. I mean, 30 plus years of, I feel like, being in the rap game.
That's true, actually. And I think that's one of the things that people overlook is that, yeah, he's actually been in the game for a very, very long time. And, you know, this industry, it's not an easy one for anybody. So, yeah, you got to really be committed to that. On the album, on Overgrown, your track with West Side Gun is produced by Esther. Is that right?
Yes.
Shout out Esther. We love Esther. Serato loves Esther.
We love Esther.
So you've collaborated. Have you collaborated with Esther before, or how did that come around? I'm really interested to know about your relationship with Esther.
So yeah, Esther and I have the same manager. My best friend Jasmine manages Esther, and I was looking for production that was like really gritty, and I also wanted something sample based, and so we asked Esther to send a batch of beats over for the West Side Gun interlude, and I also asked some other producers too, but I really connected with, there were two that Esther had sent that I really liked, so I sent them to two rappers, and West Side Gun really liked the one that he's on, and I had him do whatever he wanted on the interlude, and I wish I would have gave him a little bit of context.
Yeah, that's definitely...
But overall, I still love it, and I had to just cut a few things out. and made it work.
That's incredible. And really big shout out to Jasmine. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Jasmine, for helping make this happen. So yeah, if you don't know
Yeah.
Jasmine is the person who made this whole interview happen. We love Jasmine. Thank you, Jasmine.
Yeah, thank you.
So just while we're on the subject of production, another incredible producer. Well, there's actually so many incredible producers you have on the record, but one in particular is a pretty big standout. And you just mentioned him earlier, Kaytranada. You have Kaytranada's interlude also. Now, it sounds like is he singing on that? Is he rapping on that? Because I've never really heard. I know Kaytra can rap, but I haven't really heard him on many records. Did you ask him to do that?
So yeah, my manager linked me with Kaytranada, and yes, we wanted an interlude by a few people, producers and artists, and so I just started working with Kay, and we were like, damn, we would really love him to be a part of this album. But the deadline, like, I was gonna have the album get mixed probably in a week. So I asked Kay a week before, hey, would you be down to do an interlude? You know, something quick and easy. And then Jasmine and Eddie and I were like, we should have him talk or sing, rap, whatever he wants to do, because it's so rare. So initially when I asked him, he was down, but then he changed his mind and just sent over like a few beats and told me to do some oohs and ahs over it. So I was like, fine, that's cool. You know, I'm not going to push you. But then I went into the studio with my friend Mac, and then we wrote to the beat that is the Kaytra interlude. And when I sent it to Kaytranada, he loved it, and he told me that he could really connect to the lyrics. And so I asked him, you know, I was like, we left some space in here in case you changed your mind about talking. And he was like, yeah, I totally can connect to what you're saying, and I'm really fired up to spit some bars. So he sent me an updated track with his vocals on it later that night, and that's what we came up with for the interlude.
Well, I'm just going to put this out there, is that if there's ever another opportunity for a Joyce Wrice Kaytranada collab, I think all of the DJs in the world will be playing that song 100%.
Yeah, we have one song that I really love. Right now it's called Iced Tea. I don't know if I'm going to keep that title, but that's a dance record that I'm really proud of, that I really love, that I cannot wait to share with everyone.
Wow. Okay, so you heard that. That maybe this is like a world premiere that we even know about this, but that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it is. It would be cool to get a rapper on that too.
Wow. Okay, awesome.
We'll see. Ooh, I have some people in mind.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of linked in with everybody that I like, anyways. So you can't really go wrong with the guests you've got. And shout out some of the other incredible people on your record. Devin Morrison, love the Devin Morrison Hot Minute interlude. That's another great combo. You and Devin, just perfect.
And Mind Design.
And Mind Design, yeah. I mean, he produced the Rocket Science record, right? With K. Yeah. You guys. There's something that I guess is there kind of like a little crew in LA? It feels like there's a certain kind of community that you're part of that has like Pink Sifu and Mind Design and Devin. Is that a thing?
Yeah. When I first moved to LA, I didn't really know anybody, and I was just trying to meet other artists and become a solo artist, because at the time I was doing backgrounds and hooks for rappers. So the first producer that I was introduced to that I really connected with was Mind Design. And he sent me a batch of beats, and that was the first time where, I don't know, I just felt so effortless to sing and freestyle over something. And I feel like he helped me find my sound with his production. That's where Ain't No Need and Do You Love Me came about. And those were the first songs that I had ever put out. So through meeting him and Alima Jennings, who directed my first video, they introduced me to Live, Pink Sifu, and yeah, just the community that we have out here. Stone's Throw. Devin moved here like 2-3 years ago from Japan, and he had already been a fan of me and Mind Design, so we met him when he moved out here. And then it just, became tighter and tighter. Devin and Mind Design and I have songs that we have yet to put out too, hopefully as an EP or something like that as a band, maybe. We're not sure yet. But I'm very fortunate to have genuine friendships, but also artist relationships where we can just have a good time and create for fun and, just respect each other and allow us to be the best artists that we can be.
That's so important. It's
Yes.
so amazing to hear that you guys have that kind of that kind of community. And I mean, really, like Mind Design new record coming out, I've heard like all the singles off that sounds fantastic. Everything I hear from Devin, I'm always just like hanging on a string, just can't wait for him to put out new music. So it's like just an incredible production and vocal team. You guys are fantastic.
Thank you.
So, on your record, on Overgrown, you've got a song that's on you talked about a little earlier, and you did a Japanese remix where you sing in Japanese with the artist Umi, who I've just discovered myself through your song, actually, who is also Japanese American, Japanese African American. And how important is it for you to celebrate that part of your heritage in your music?
It's very important for me. I grew up listening to songs by Japanese artists, Black and Japanese, Black and Korean artists. And it was really cool to see people like myself doing what I love. So I really wanted to do the same with creating. And it's always been the dream of mine to sing in Japanese, to incorporate Japanese into my English songs and have a Japanese featured artist on the record too. So I love it, and I think it's great. It's representation for Asian people, and I hope to do more of a mixture of English and Japanese records, but also full Japanese records. The song that I texted you, Tornado by Minako Yoshida, I would love to cover that song. I just got to get my vocals a little stronger because that record is insane. But yeah, I love to show people, where my mother's from and more of my background. I know sometimes very ambiguous for people, so I just wanted to share with people all of me.
That's fantastic. And next month, May, is APA Heritage Month. So celebrating the Asian and Pacific Island artists of in North America and worldwide.
Yes, and you're giving me an idea. Maybe that's the time that I cover this song.
Oh my God! Yes, that would be incredible. So
Taking
yeah, we're definitely. Oh yeah, actually speaking of which, so you said the artist you sent me was Minako Yoshida, and the song was Tornado. Is there any other Japanese artists that you'd like to kind of like highlight or that you could put us onto? Like Umi obviously is fantastic. Shout out Umi. But is there anyone else that we might be able to learn from?
So I actually put together a playlist for Apple Music. It's coming out next month, and it features Asian, American, Pacific Islander artists. And I will say I'm not the best with knowing any current Japanese artists, but I love Hikaru. We have the internet, so you can still look her up. She's more like late 90s, early 2000s. And Crystal K is really great.
Okay.
She worked with M-Flow, and that consists of two producers. One of them is Verbal, who was a part of the Teriyaki Boys. Some people might know.
Yeah. They were like one of Pharrell's groups, right? Produced the Teriyaki Boys?
Yeah. Right, yeah. And yeah, I would say Minako Yoshida is one of my favorite. I still have to look more into the artist you sent me. But I do see him all over my YouTube recommendations.
Yeah.
So I've tapped into his stuff here and there.
Cool. The artist that I recommended, just so everyone in the chat can check them out as well, is Tatsuro Yamashita. And the song that I love so much is Love Talking. And it's a city pop record. I think it's from the 80s. It's just an incredible song. One group that I've recently found out that is from Japan, they're on Sub Pop Records, and they're called Chai. And they're really fun. They're like kind of like ESG if they were from Japan, like the punk rock kind of electronic band. Yeah. So yeah, shout out Chai. But since we got you here, one of the songs actually, speaking of Japanese artists, the first song I ever heard you and the first time I ever saw you perform was with a Japanese artist by the name of Starro. So let me just pull that up here for a second. The song that you did with Starro is... Where is it? Yeah, Runaway.
Yes.
So this is the first song I ever heard of yours. And this is, Starro. And you actually, you performed this at his release party in Hollywood, I believe.
Yes, I did.
Even if you were to run away, you'd still be in the same place. Environment may change. Oh, no, no. Yeah. Oh, no, no.
So yeah, definitely check that song out. That's Starro featuring.
I remember that.
Yeah, featuring Joyce Wrice, Runaway. Yeah, that's an incredible record too. Shout out Starro, man.
Thank you. Yes, shout out Starro. Thank you so much. That was at the Roxy.
That's right, the legendary Roxy.
Right? Yeah, I had a red top on, black tight pants. That was a fun night.
Yeah, that was an incredible night. He's also a Serato user, so we really love Starro at Serato as well.
Aww.
Yeah, and so we're gonna keep on this producer tip for a sec, just a little bit longer. I've got another thing to show here, and I know you've seen it already, but I just want to kind of like put it out there for everyone else to see. This is Jael covering "That's on You," which is a song we were just talking about off Joyce Wrice's new record, Overgrown. And this is Jael from Amsterdam covering this song. It's just a quick snippet, so we'll get into it right here.
You just say it. Now I'm tired of all this waiting. I still get time of patience, yeah. I give you one more just to come around. She not there, let me down. But she got we can work this out.
So yeah, Jael covering Joyce Wrice and managing to sing in Japanese also, which is very impressive.
Very impressive. I actually have known Jael for many years.
Oh, really?
Jael and I, we've been internet friends for so long. Jael, I think I know him from SoundCloud.
That makes sense.
He uploaded a beat on SoundCloud that I just absolutely loved, and I ended up doing a Jodeci kind of remix with his beat.
Oh,
and
wow.
the song is still out. It's on SoundCloud and YouTube. It's called Devante Swing. And yeah, it's so crazy. Produced by Jael.
Wow. Yeah, Jael's incredible. He just put a new record out as well. So I think we're actually going to be talking to Jael in a couple months. I think we got him on the schedule.
Oh, good.
So he'll be on there.
He's so sweet and so talented, as you can tell,
Yeah,
with
he's
his
insane.
cover.
Whenever he does these things, I'm just like blown away. Like, how does he play like all these instruments and sing and like produce? He's just incredible.
Yeah, he is.
So, yeah, speaking of remixing, how do you feel about people like, I feel like you've had quite a few people remixing your songs. Your song "Good Morning," you even put the a cappella out. Was that intentional for people to remix?
Yes. Oh, well, actually, I put Good Morning out as a maxi single, and a part of a maxi single is I guess like the radio edit, and then any remixes, a cappella, instrumental. And I think it was made for DJs.
For sure.
I'm not sure, right? But it makes sense. They could, play around with it. So I wanted to do that with Good Morning. And yes, I wanted to give people opportunity to do their own rendition of the song with either the a cappella or the instrumental. So I was very surprised to see so many people remix the song. It's kind of like insane, actually. I'm so grateful because it brought so many like more fans. It introduced my music to a lot of people, and it just, I'm just really happy that that song really connected with people.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic that you did that. I mean, just speaking as a DJ and a producer, I'm always looking for acapellas, and I know all my friends that do that too. They got that acapella and they've done their own little thing with it, whether it's a blend or a remix or even an edit. And it's just such a fun way to like engage with an artist in a like less formal fashion. So and it's like you said, it's a great way to kind of like have people become familiar with not only you but also the person that's remixing it. So yeah, it's really great. I really appreciate you doing that. And speaking of remixing, have you ever been interested in production or DJing, or do you already produce?
I have not produced anything yet. I've actually talked with Devin about wanting to get into production, and I actually have Serato on my laptop.
Hey, yes. That's awesome, Joyce.
But I have not had the time to mess around with it. And I don't have turntables, I don't have turntables, but I definitely would love to get into production and DJing. I think with any creative, as much control you could have with what you're making, I feel like the experience is much better, and you just have more control, so it's easier. Sometimes when I'm making something with people, I'm unsure how to articulate what I want, but I know how I would want it to be. So I'm sure production would help me a lot. And then I'm just a big music lover. So I make playlists all the time, and I would love to transition into doing it on Serato and with turntables. And I like scratching. I can't do it, but I just love it. It would be really cool. Like the Beat Junkies, I'm such a huge fan.
Yeah, shout out the Beat Junkies. J-Rock, Babu.
Yeah. Yes, J-Rock is my favorite.
He's the greatest.
So it would be so cool, and I've got to create the time to do that.
Well, I mean, you're definitely in good hands. I know you're friends with the Beat Junkies. You're friends with us. If you ever need anything, we got you.
Thank you.
We got you covered. You do play piano though. I saw in the new visualizer you're playing piano and singing.
Yeah, I started learning with Kiefer.
Wow.
And yes.
That's a good teacher.
I started taking Zoom lessons with him, and he more so is very strict with me. He's just like, learn this, learn that, and then come back to me. So with the Overgrown video, I'm playing the very simple chords for that song. And then over time, I would love to learn how to just go all out like it is on the beat.
Yeah, man, Kiefer, another incredible person on that same kind of crew that you run with, which is just insanely talented.
I know, and Kiefer's a really great teacher. I think that's what's really amazing about him is not only is he a great musician, but he knows how to help others. And that's another gift, you know?
Totally.
It's like you could be really good at something, but it's not easy to help people understand it or become good at it. But he's figured it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good point. It's to be able to articulate and like translate what people are trying to do and let them feel confident and just teach them the right things that are going to give them that spark of like, oh yeah, I can totally do this, you know, and
right.
You know, that's what you need to plant that seed.
Yes.
Other talents though that you have, which we've learned very recently in the On One video, is you're extremely good at dancing. And you have incredible choreography is in that video. You know, who was that your direction, or and how important is dance to you and when you're creating music?
Well, okay, two things. When I'm creating music, in the past, I didn't really think about making music to have choreography to. I would just create based off of how I'm feeling. There was no strategy behind it. But when I worked on this album, we put some strategy behind it because I started to consider songs that would work at festivals or just wanting to showcase vocal ability, different styles, and sounds. So one of the things that we wanted to do with this album was create up-tempo, urgent records. And so D-Mel did a really great job at that. And after hearing the music we were making, I'm like, choreography would be so bomb with this. And luckily, growing up, I was dancing with a team, I was in like 3 dance groups.
Oh, wow.
And we would compete, and we would also perform at high school events. So my love for dancing and choreography just really trained me to instill that into what I'm doing now, which is pretty crazy. I'm so happy that it's working out, and I'm finally living up, I guess, my dream of kind of being like an Aaliyah or, you know, a Missy Elliott, where they have these performances that are like productions, like big productions, you know what I'm saying? So I'm really happy, and it's always what I've wanted to do. I'm actually working on a virtual performance right now.
Oh, cool.
And the choreographer is going to choreograph to one more song on the album because we already have On One and So Sick. And I would love to bring kind of that music video vibe into my performances.
Oh man, I'm so glad to hear you're going to be taking the whole record as a live performance. I can't wait to see that. Now, one of the things you talked about just there about music videos, and you've named like Missy Elliott, you know, and Missy Elliott, I mean, hands down, in my opinion, has the best music videos of all time. Aaliyah also, incredible music videos, incredible dancing. What are some of the most influential music videos to you growing up? What were the real, like, inspirational ones for you?
It would probably be a lot of Busta Rhymes videos. Those don't have choreography to it, but his movement, I would say, is choreography. But just like, you know, the Hype Williams, a lot of the Hype Williams shit, like Janet and Busta Rhymes, gotta be something.
What's it gonna be?
Yeah, what's it gonna be? Exactly. That video is wild. Yeah. I love Mariah Carey's Heartbreaker in the movie theater. Yeah. Missy Elliott's I Can't Stand the Rain. Definitely Aaliyah's One in a Million. And I love like just extra rapper type videos too. So I would say like bad boy videos. With Biggie, you know, just like, and Mace, and they're just in the shiny suits and doing the crazy dances with the dancers in the background, and even like Tupac, I Get Around, Biggie, Jay-Z videos. A lot of those are my favorite. It's, yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's just fun and wild.
Yeah.
Budgets are so different these days, though.
For sure. The budgets are not quite the same as they were in the
They're
90s.
not the same at all. And you could tell even like when they would perform these songs live, it would be madness. It's a whole nother story. But yeah, those are some of my favorite videos.
Yeah, I feel like Puffy and Mace got a lot of criticism at the time for those videos, but even even in the end, like in retrospect, they are so iconic, and they really informed, and that that they are much cooler now than they were when they came out in a lot of ways,
Right, it's true.
because we were all trying to listen to, I don't know, more underground stuff at the time, perhaps. Well, some of us
Yeah.
were.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I think everyone from that time was maybe a bit conflicted whether they liked it or not, but yeah, it was incredible. You cannot
I
deny the production
see.
quality of those.
Yeah.
So, so moving on, are there any artists that you look like to those as an inspirational role models within the industry? I mean, we talked a little bit about Missy Elliott and even earlier you talked about Freddie Gibbs and how he's been in the industry for, like 20 years. Like he's had a very long career in the music industry. Are there any people that have really helped kind of, provide a good role model or inspiration for you to navigate that?
Yeah, I feel like ownership is very important to me, owning my masters and having creative control. I don't want to compromise, on what my vision is. I'm open and I want to elevate and keep breaking barriers, but for me, that's very important, which is why I'm still independent. But yeah, so I'm really inspired by artists who have that same mindset, which Freddie Gibbs is a very good example. And then you're asking me what other artists I'm inspired by. I think Smino is really dope. The way he runs things.
Shout out
It
Smino.
seems, yeah, like I feel like he's also very behind everything that he does, and he does it how he wants to do it. It's not, on anyone else's time but his. And yeah, his music is just so unique. Like it's so distinct to him, which I think is very cool too. What other artists? You mean, when you ask me that, you mean like what they do business-wise, but also sonically, or?
Yeah, I mean, like I think what you talked about with Smino is really interesting because like the last guest we had on here was Evangeline Alder from Empire Records, and she talked a lot about how the landscape of being an artist has changed so dramatically since what we were just talking about with the 90s and like, big budgets for videos. The record label kind of had a lot of power in that, and they really kind of, at least it seems like these days you really need to, have a bit more control, like you were saying, a bit more ownership over what you're trying to do, a bit more identity, and I think like you're talking about Smino, he's able to use Instagram and other social media in a certain way that is unique and quite progressive, and I think that especially for emerging artists, young artists, that must be a minefield, to try and figure it out.
Right.
But I see the things that you're doing, like the treasure hunt was super unique. It was like really inspiring, and I'm wondering if there's other people that you're looking at that are like that, perhaps right now.
Right. Yeah, and I will say too, like artist development is not as, I think, common as it used to be too. So yeah, as an artist, you kind of really have to come with you have to have certain things already together. So for me, who else? I'm gonna look on my Instagram because that helps me.
For sure. Yeah, I mean Instagram, TikTok, these are all the platforms that we have to navigate these days. So for sure, like that was one of the real gems that we got from the last interview was like, yeah, how do people use TikTok? And the TikTok audience is so much younger too. Like Instagram, I mean, I'm in my 30s, so Instagram is kind of like my zone, but TikTok I'm still like not really on. But That's
Yeah.
everyone, 19, 18 and under are all on TikTok. So
Oh yeah, right before I put my album out, my manager was like, "So you need to make a TikTok, and you've got to figure out what to post. You've got to do it. That's the direction." So at first I was like, "Oh, this app is like really different. It's just so animated and like in your face." So I just started figuring out what worked for me, and I'm now very comfortable using it. And my friend Fouché, Foushee, she's an artist that really inspires me because she's very good at social media. She's very fun, very personable, and she's a comedian alongside being a musician.
that helps.
So watching her, it helps. So watching her post too gives me like ideas and comfort that I can do it too. But yeah, she's very fun with her posts and using social media, in her favor to continue being engaged with her audience. And, just being consistent, basically. So
Yeah.
Fouché is really great.
So taking from that, would there be any lessons or advice that you'd want to pass to an emerging singer like yourself or an emerging artist that's looking up to you? Like, what would you want to let them know about maybe some of the important lessons you've learned, even maybe making your first record or just navigating the industry right now?
Yeah, I would say to really be your biggest fan, and have people around you who have your best interests, and really, truly, genuinely support you, and be able to open up to them about your goal, know what your goals are, know what you're not going to compromise on, have boundaries, and, just like anything, work on that craft every day to get better. And I do think, even though social media is sometimes very discouraging, I would still find a healthy relationship with it, because that's one of the best ways to build a following and stay connected to people. It's much more difficult, I feel like, in the outside, like in reality outside. And if you don't like social media, have your manager or hire a social media person to do it for you, and make sure that it's still authentic and it doesn't feel robotic. But I would truly say one of the most important things is like, what are your goals? Know yourself and just have respect for yourself, and don't try to please other people or be a slave to the industry. I truly think that if you stay on track and do good, everything will work out in a way that's meant for you. It took me so long to put this album out, and I'm still independent, and I had meetings with labels that were interested, and then I never heard back from them, and I could have given up. I could have questioned my worth or whether this is something that I should even do, but it's something I really wanted to do, and I just kept pushing through, and then the right things came together to allow me to do this. So to really trust your journey and have faith.
That's so incredible, and it's so good to hear that. We're so glad that you put the record out. We're so happy about it. I know a lot of people are really thrilled about it, and it's not like it was the first thing you've done. You've been doing this for a while, so it's like,
right.
It's been great to see the project, the kind of the rise to fame, and I think we're all very excited about what is happening, next for Joyce, because this is the first record. So, what is next for Joyce? What is the next thing on the schedule for you?
Yeah, like I mentioned, the live virtual performance, which people will be able to buy tickets to, that's going to happen, I believe, in June. I booked a festival in the fall, which will be really fun. Things are opening back up, so I'm hoping to tour and travel this album in other countries. I haven't been on tour since like 2017.
Wow.
So I want to go back to Europe, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and everywhere else. And then I'm working on new music. I want to make more fun, feel-good records to keep people, feeling good. And then I, like I had mentioned, I have music in the vault with Mind Design and Devin and some other people, as well as working on new music. I've been given opportunities to write for movies and like other TV series, so it would be cool to see if those get picked up.
Awesome.
And yeah, life happens, so I'm sure more things will come up. We'll see. Maybe you'll see me acting in a movie or DJing, producing for somebody like we discussed.
I hope so. I really do. And are we when you take the show on the road, are we going to be lucky to have some of the amazing talents that you work with in the band as well, perhaps?
The producer?
Or do you have a band for the show, or is it a DJ singer type show?
Yeah, so I'm hoping that at this point I can bring a band with me. I just love live instrumentation. So I have a music director right now, Quentin Furby, who is incredible. He does Roddy Ricch, YG. So he's with 1500 or Nothing. So he is helping me get my live show going, and he'll pick band members that he works with that he feels like could help execute the vision.
Wow.
So that is coming together.
Yeah,
I hope to bring my dancers.
Oh, yeah, that would be incredible. Dancers and...
as well.
Yeah. Wow, that would be a really good show. So we have a question we ask for every guest that comes on the show. And the question is about the power of music. So the phrase, the power of music, what does that mean to you?
The power of music. I would say, for me, growing up, I'm an only child, and my mother is from Japan. My dad is from Louisiana, and he was in the military, in the Navy for most of my upbringing. So he traveled a lot, and my mother and I didn't move with him. So it was mostly me and my mom, and she's still culturally very Japanese and works a 9-to-5 all the time and was very protective of me as her only daughter. So I spent a lot of time at home and around adults and just by myself. So the power of music, like for me, music was my best friend. It was the sibling that I never had, my first love. It was just something that made me feel so good and just really brought me so much joy. And I couldn't even explain like how it would make me feel, but it just really brought me peace throughout like my whole upbringing and childhood. And I think the beauty of music, the power of music too, is that you might have different opinions, different morals or values from people. So you feel like you can't maybe connect or be friends with them or relate to them. But what's crazy is when you have similar tastes in music, it's like for like you could, I guess, be connected to that person or be at the same show with them or whatever, you know what I mean? So I think the cool thing about music is that it unites people, despite maybe sharing who you are or what you believe in, if that makes sense. So I think that's very powerful, the fact that it can unite people and give you, an opportunity to just enter a whole nother world, allow you to take a step back from your reality, whether you're trying to get out of it or not. It's very powerful. So to me, that's the most amazing thing about music. That's really lovely.
Thank you for sharing that. Music is very powerful, and it's our friend, really, isn't it? It's kind of like what brings people together, what allows us to learn more about each other, and and to have more compassion or understand topics that maybe we don't understand as well.
Right.
Yeah, and yeah, your record is very powerful. What
Oh, thank you.
what are some of your favorite songs off the record, though? I'd love to know if there's a favorite that you really feel personal with.
I really love Chandler because I remember when I wrote that, I was like fed up with somebody. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sick and tired of this. And I remember sharing how I was feeling with my other friends and they could relate. So it was just like a song where I could just go off about how I'm feeling, especially being a woman and just other women agreeing with me as well. And it, just the beat being so cinematic,
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with it. Addicted is my favorite. It's very soulful, has a classic R&B feel to it. So that's really one of my favorites. I can't wait to perform that. And You is my favorite because I love how D Miles samples my vocals in the beat.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and I feel like that song is very unique and different from what D Miles has produced for my album. And the last one, I'm kind of, it's like I love On One, but you know, it's been out for a while, or not a while, but you know, I've been hearing it so much that I would say I'll probably say West Side Gun's Interlude.
Awesome! Shout out West Side Gun and Esther on that one.
Yeah, it's just so raw, so gritty, you know, and he's like just talking about uplifting women, you know. So I respect that.
Awesome. Yeah, Chandler, I gotta say one of the great things about the record is how different, like it's so cohesive, but there's so much range, you know, like everything sounds very like it's a perfect cohesive record, but what you've done with D Miles and all the other producers on there is you've managed to really like show a lot of different styles, but it all works together. It all sounds like a Joyce record. So yeah, big up on that one.
Glad. Yeah, I'm glad you said that because that was the goal. That was really, really the goal. So to be able to make that happen makes me very happy.
And when you put on Chandler, man, it's what a journey. It's just the perfect start too. It's very well
great
sequenced.
Start, yeah. You like get people hooked in, and then now you got to stay and listen to the whole damn thing.
Indeed. So a couple of questions that we have from the audience actually. So if you've got the time.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so.
How do I see it? Oh, it's all right here.
Well, no, we'll I've selected a few. We can't have too many.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine.
So
I just didn't know that I could see people's comments.
Oh yeah, we got comments in here. We got we can favorite comments. We can even chat in there, I think, as well. But I've got a couple questions here. The first one is from The Real-in-Air, and her question is, what's one of your favorite lyrics of your own songs or someone else's songs?
One of my favorite lyrics from my own song or someone else's song. I mean, I really like the lyrics on Overgrown. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can still hear you.
Overgrown, you know, Overgrown is just very vulnerable and just being honest about
hold on, Joyce. Do you mind just I think the volume on your on the computer is a bit loud. It's just getting some echo. So if a little bit better. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
My AirPods died. So like I was saying, Overgrown is one of my favorites because I wanted to make a song that I feel like other people could relate to, just life, you know, and dealing with your insecurities and not letting them define you and not being defeated by them. So for me, that's a very important record because it also is talking about my journey why the album has taken so long. And then my favorite lyrics from another artist, I really like Mariba,
Okay.
Mereba. Her writing is just very poetic, really beautiful, and just sharp. Like she's just very, very good with her way of words. She has a song called Sandstorm with Kids. That's one of my favorites. I would check out Mariba as well. Jasmine Sullivan, Lauren Hill.
Shout out Jasmine Sullivan. She's got great lyrics. Incredible songwriter.
Yeah, incredible songwriter.
Okay, cool.
Go ahead.
So the next one we have is from Machiavelli 221996. The question is, would you work with Kirk Franklin again? Because you are soulmates.
Kirk Franklin?
Yep.
Yeah, I would love to work with Kay. Kay and I, we had sessions a while back, and he helped me write a few things. But I would just be honest, it wasn't, the best music that I felt comfortable putting out. So we'll continue to work and see, what makes sense. But yeah, Kay is actually working on his solo music with one of my favorite producers, Mariah Carey. So look forward to Kay's solo music. But I'm always down to create with everyone, people that I worked with in the past and now. And if it sounds good and it's of quality, you'll definitely hear it.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's it, Joyce. I think that's our interview. Is there any song that you'd like to go out on? Can I play a song for you?
Yes, you can play a song for me.
Okay. Let's play your song with Toki Monster, Open Air.
Oh, yeah.
And once again, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. Everyone who's watching right now, make sure you go and tune in and stream Overgrown. There's a link in the chat. If you type in !follow, it'll pull up Joyce's Instagram and the record that you can stream on any platform that you choose, whatever you choose to listen to. So congratulations, Joyce, on an incredible record, and thank you so much again for joining us today on the Unscripted podcast. We'll be waiting with for the next records and for the tour to come to town. So we hope to see you very soon.
Thank you so much, Matt. I really enjoyed this. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you everyone for tuning in. All your support so much to me, and really just keep going.
All right, so DJs, go run that single and play the hell out of Overgrown. Thank you again, once again, Joyce.